Literally, we're getting a pig. It is not a joke, not a drill. That is gonna be a pig house and a pig yard. Okay, it's okay. You want to start a farm? You're doing it. You're not by yourself. Christy's the co-parent. You got this. You good?
Try to back it out, or how? Do you know how to get out?
There we go. Good morning. Good morning, sir. You ready? Oh my gosh. Okay. We're gonna build together today, okay? Hi ladies, this is a pig. He's your new brother. So my entire 5 acres isn't quite yet fenced off, but this front yard is, and so it will be all his. I just wanted to create a designated area for him to go to if he so chose. And if you know me, I try to reuse as much material from the property as possible because there was so much of it on hand. So that's what you're about to see unfold. Well, it's good to know that you like it, because that's gonna be your house, bud. I'm in the middle of doing it. I wanted to see if Leo liked anything I was putting out, and the more he liked things, I started to DIY off of that. But then one night, he just decided to come on inside. Hi, it's a good boy. You could do whatever you want. What do you think? Up to you. Okay. It's taken me a second to get to know Leo boy, and we have a lot of fun things we know about him now. Hi, baby. Now, this isn't Leo's end-all be-all here on my property, but I am working with what I have available, and so that's what you see me doing here is DIYing a space for him currently. But eventually he's going to have access to the full 5 acres and a huge barn to live out of and different stables and amenities. So, Leo is checking out his new digs. Clean that out. This is gonna be the extension of the house, so this will be a wall and more for him to lay into. I need to figure out a way for him to not dump his water. We're gonna clear up the land, and this is his mud bath area, like designated mud bath. And when it rains, this can get muddy, but that can be a little bit more dry, so he can go back and forth. Again, I love that I took my time with this episode because looking back at how much Leo has decompressed and how close he is to me all the time, the way he like runs to me when I come home, the way he's completely fine with Blaze and lets Blaze like attempt to cuddle him. There are just so many things, again, behind the scenes that I needed to take a second to pull over for that younger self and truly heal and give myself a minute. And I am just so excited to see where this property goes, because before, honestly, not saying it was boring, but it was a little bit boring. Now it's like possibilities are endless. What do you mean we have Leo here on the land? You know, what do you mean we're customizing a little house for him? It's insanity. Bub. Oh my goodness, you guys. I just am loving this Rachel. And she's so new to me. She's so new to me. But God, I can already see how strong she is and how much purpose and passion and pull she has for this past Rachel. She's like, nah, Callie and I got you, girl. We are going to continue on this mission. It doesn't look like what we thought it was going to look like, but we absolutely got this. Man, having chickens is pretty wild. Watching their ecosystem and how they just operate within themselves. I've had to build a second coop for another chicken that my Rhode Island Fighting Reds were like just viciously attacking and not accepting. And then I got 2 baby chickens. And again, when I threw them in with them, they started to viciously attack them. So we are going to build just a very simple, basic extension that I can also like lift the shade in from the other coop so the chickens can see each other, but everybody is as safe as they can be. Because I don't like the whole pecking order thing. They can keep that within the triangle coop. I want to create a loving space for the baby chickens that are coming on in. I heard one time that disco balls were great enrichment for chickens, and that's all I needed. So of course they got their own disco ball over here. And with these coops, you know, I am using all recycled material from just my material scrap pile. Ooh, I can speak English. And just making it a little unique with like the wiggle from the room that we demoed when we started to reno the guest bedroom. Just stuff like that. And even Aaron made this cute little ladder for the chicks to walk up out of scrap pieces, and it's so cute. So if you're building a coop, even if it is on a budget, there are little things you can do to add personality and just make it feel like a little bit more uniquely yours. What was I saying? Oh yeah, okay, so we're gonna do a mini dining room makeover. And as I said, it's like trying to keep that center in the chaos of all of the moving parts that are happening, because also, total side note, you're gonna be seeing Aaron a ton. He is the love of my life, and he's moving into the house. So we're combining things. It's just, you know, there's a lot of moving parts to that. But one thing I wanted to be like honest with is like all the cool stuff. Like I thought I was cool. When you see his items, those are his from his curated space, and he has just impeccable taste, and he's an impeccable builder. So I just wanted to like softly introduce you to him because he is so special to me, and I've never had anybody show up for me like this. So he really helps me with everything, and I just am so grateful. But I digress. Be gentle with him, okay? Just a tiny little fun fact. I mean, you guys probably know this, duh. I've never had a dining table this entire time that I have lived in the desert. I have that article couch that is basically like a huge just pillow that all of us sit on, and then we like sit on the floor, and that DIY coffee table we turn into like a huge family style meal situation. So it's just so funny to actually make over the spaces for what they're intended to be. And you guys, it feels insanely good to just respect my space, to have the mental capacity now to complete a thought. Are you joking? And then to add it on top of it, I did not have Aaron on my bingo card for 2025, and it's just made, I don't know, life pretty phenomenal. It is legitimately made out of all 2x4s. You can even cut a 2x4 down into a 2x2 if you didn't want to pick up those on your own. All you need is 3 tools: a circular saw, a sander, and a drill. What you are going to do is cut down 4 2x4s to the length of the bench that you would like, or countertop. We did the benches 4 2x4s deep, and then we did our countertops 3. So again, you get to play with it. That's the fun part about this, but this is a very basic build. After you cut them down to length, you are legitimately going to sand them with 120 and 220 grit. Feel free to paint or stain to your heart's content after you sand down, but we were just going to keep it very simple since there was going to be so much of it in the space. It would have been overpowering. We cut down supports that were just a little bit shorter than the 2x4s put together with the 1/2 inch spacers, so it kind of blend in, and also it wasn't going to hit the 2x2 ledger, which you are securing the bench or the countertop to, which holds all of the weight. It is like your strength point, the 2x2. Something that we had to consider, because we were going to originally do 45-degree angle legs that kind of hid and made it look more floating, where we put our supports. If you are choosing to do the 45s, you need to make sure your supports aren't getting in the way of your studs. So you have to kind of like measure out your wall where the studs are and take note, and not alternate, but just space it out accordingly. This sounds nuts, but just because you want those 45s, if you were to install them, which we did not, to hit a stud to hold the weight properly. Again, we decided to make the legs straight. It was just personal preference, but you can even do like gnarly L brackets if you didn't want to try to figure out the 45s and make that a floating bench. But again, that is up to your discretion. I'm just trying to teach you how to build the 2x4s pretty easily. What's nice is we built this out in a couple hours, I think like 5 hours, and then sat with the space for a little bit and then made note of what we'd like to change, and that's what you're about to see in a second. But just as a reminder, like if you do not like something that you have DIY'd, it is okay to redo it or just tweak it a little bit to make it exactly what you want. We essentially copied and pasted the same build on this wall to create almost a bar, if you will, with 2 shelves that can just, hold food if we're serving and not overcrowd the table, and just give a different moment to the room itself. And it's also adding functionality. It's not just like taking up space with random stuff. Just to remind you, with the 2x2 ledger, you want to be sure to be installing that into studs behind the wall. It's going to give you the maximum strength to hold the most weight for the benches or the table or whatever you're using this for. There's also a ton of different ways to support this without the legs that we have. We just like the design aesthetic of this, but you can go ahead and cut it out of 45 if you really didn't want to quote unquote see anything. So our bench seating that we DIY'd, obviously all of this is customizable, but typical seat height is 18 inches. Ours is sitting at 15 to 16, so we opted to cut down this table that Aaron has had for forever. We were going to cut it down even further, but I think we're going to add some upholstery to those benches, which is going to bring you right back up to that 18 inches, which is typical seating height. Not only did we decide to cut down the table, we decided to elongate that bench you see the measuring tape kind of flopping off of from 48 inches to 66. Once again, using more of the space, but keeping it functional and minimal. And again, it is all on a budget doing this out of 2x4s. Erin, quite frankly, threw together 2 benches to go on the opposite sides of the table to kind of bring this all together. And we are going to just do a matte poly to it. You can stain it, you can paint it, but I'm not going to lie. We were going to do a Kona stain, and Erin stepped back and was like, it's going to look like a giant chocolate bar. So we just kept it neutral, and we're going to be decorating with pops of color, aka plants. My goal with the whole move-in and the mini makeovers is to just have Erin feel as folded into the cut as I possibly can, and to have everything feel like an ours versus a my, because I remember what it was like moving into someone's home and it really never feeling like I was a part of it, and that is not going to be the case here. It is our space, our life, our love, you know, our animals, our ecosystem now, and it should reflect that. So this is the beginning of it. During a renovation, there is no need to feel like you are drowning. And this is our attempt at creating these spaces for us to breathe and also to integrate our lives fully together. Something that I make a little bit of fun of myself for is how fratty this house was. I mean, it wasn't, it was definitely just me, myself, and I built it out to function for my lifestyle, but what a difference this space is. I mean, you really can't deny that. Oh, we have been vulnerable with each other here before. Yes, we have. But, you know, this is a whole different level. Your girl scratched her eye. I would not wish this upon anybody. I've never had an eye injury. I'm very grateful to not have had an eye injury, but I'm a little bit broken right now. I cannot catch a break, but that's okay. I am so sensitive to light right now. I cannot be outside, hence why this is kind of like a dungeon dragon zone this episode. I'm so sorry. Just trying to heal up. We're going to work on a mini kitchen makeover. Now, we are trying to spend absolutely nothing, but we want to make over this space a little bit because, again, Aaron and I are conjoining forces, and he has some really beautiful dishes that I would like to display. Most of the dishes that I have here literally came with the house, so I'm going to do a deep clean of the kitchen. We're going to see what we can do. What is happening with this hand? I'm trying to make up for lack of eye. Jeez. So we're going to see what we can do on basically nothing. If I do spend any money, I will let you know, but I hope you guys enjoy. We're going to kind of copy and paste, I think, the 2x4 idea over to here and kind of go from there. It might not be the most dramatic, but I do want to show you how you can add functionality and open shelving to your space for cheap, and how also just placing things in the right areas can make your kitchen, no matter what size, this is fairly small, functional. And you can make it fashionable too when you decorate it. So let's get started, shall we? If you see me, okay, this, again, we have been vulnerable with each other, but this is just on a whole nother level. So bear with me as we do this DIY with one functioning eye. So we got this though. I'm not sure if I ever walked you guys through the kitchen before, but it is definitely an interesting space to say the least, and it is dark like this literally all day. It doesn't get any light. So to do a little makeover for literally $0, we spent no money on this by using 2x4s that we had on hand. We're gonna try to make this feel a little lighter, even though we're not necessarily adding a window and getting the direct light that we would like. I have not changed anything since I've moved in, quite honestly, because I just never had a home before where I didn't have to move, you know, and pack up and go or have it be temporary. So I have nested for quite some time, and we are going to completely renovate this space, which you know, but there are little bits of this kitchen currently that have a lot of personality that I don't want to get rid of, and I'd like to kind of build around. I think some people, and I am one of those, I'm guilty. I have painted cabinets before to do a makeover, but I'm just going to be taking these off the wall and doing an open shelving and then just downsizing my dishes. Aaron's going to do the same, and we're going to put the ones that we think are the most beautiful out, that we use the most, and just try to create a new vibe that way. Everything's so closed off and dark and just like dungeony. Already a world of difference. It feels taller, lighter, brighter, just airier, if you will. And I just did that while Aaron was gone. And when he came back, we started to discuss like what exactly we wanted to do. Again, for no money at all, we used 2x4s on hand, and we're just doing the same build that we did bench-wise in the dining room. And we're just copy and pasting over here. We're keeping it simple, quite frankly, budget friendly when we do want to do these mini makeovers, because we are about to invest in a huge renovation. Once we decided on like kind of eye level and the number of shelves that we wanted to do, Aaron went ahead and just ripped that out while I went ahead, patched, retextured, updated the outlets, and painted. So that way we can kind of meet up at the end of the day and get this thing done. I'm not even kidding. I think we got it done in less than 6 hours in total. I went in and patched the holes with what is called a fast set 5. It's just like a quicker drying joint compound. Once that dried, I moved forward with adding down the can of knockdown. You just spray it at the texture that looks similar to the wall, and you sand that down, and it goes pretty seamlessly with pre-existing texture on the wall. We will be getting rid of this texture, don't you worry. We will be having smooth walls up in here, but in the meantime, again, little tiny flip. better than the overhead. For spending nothing, combining our items, and then literally just adding some can lights and not using the overhead lighting, it made a world of difference. I mean, I hope you guys feel the same. Living in it, I need to do a better job showing you the living room maybe next episode. It's just a whole new vibe.